I'm Emily, a 33-year-old housewife, have my same-aged husband, Mike, and our 5-year-old daughter, Lucy. Mike and I joined the same company in the same year and quickly hit it off. We dated for 2 years and got married when we were 24. I became pregnant with Lucy at the age of 27 and quit my job, but a year later, Mike also resigned and started his own business. Honestly, I didn't want him to start a business at a time when we needed more money, but Mike, who never listens to others, suddenly said one night, "I quit my job," and it was too late. His business struggled to take off, and there were months when our income was less than $1,000. Despite this, Mike casually used my savings from before we were married for cash flow, plunging our family into extreme poverty. I had no choice but to work as an office clerk at a nearby company, and since Mike mostly worked from home, I asked him to take care of Lucy. He's quite careless, so there were some nerve-wracking moments, but when Lucy entered kindergarten, he started to help with drop-offs and pickups. I kept telling myself this kind of marriage was okay. However, since Lucy started kindergarten, Mike's behavior began to change. He would keep his cell phone all the time, frequently message someone, and smirked while reading texts, typical signs of cheating. He would leave Lucy alone and go out, and once she even fell down the stairs and broke her bone. Why do you go out alone? What if she had been seriously hurt? Shut up, if that happened, we could just have another kid. I was shocked by his words. I was stunned, and Mike said, but I don't want to do it with you anyway," smirking. He's definitely cheating, and in his heart, he's already abandoned Lucy and me. I was so shocked I couldn't even cry. After that, Mike began to brazenly stay out overnight. I even received creepy calls with nothing but loud laughter from a woman, presumably his mistress. "If you want a divorce, just say it. Am I just an ATM to you?" I was so angry I couldn't sleep. I desperately wanted a divorce and to come out ahead, but Mike always locked his room when he went out, so I couldn't find any proof or information about his mistress, and it was agonizing. Then, suddenly, everything came to light. One night, I got a call from the police. Mike had been in a traffic accident. It was a single-car accident, and he was with a woman in a rental car. A woman, his mistress, right? He said he was on a business trip, but it was a lie. I was boiling with anger as I contacted my parents to take care of Lucy and drove to the hospital where Mike was taken. "Sorry, I got a call from the police earlier." I asked at the ER reception, and it seemed he was not in life-threatening condition. I felt relieved when I heard it. Oh no. Why am I relieved? I should have not cared about that cheater's life. Muttering to myself, I went to his room just as the attending doctor was coming out. Fortunately, there's no head injury. But he suffered multiple fractures and bruises from the impact, and there might be lasting disabilities, the doctor said. Understood. Thank you. And, the woman who was with him, they didn't tell me clearly, but it seemed she hadn't been wearing a seatbelt and had sustained serious facial injuries and a strong impact to her neck. Hearing this, I shuddered but thought, that's divine punishment. When I entered the room, it was a 2-bedroom, and Mike and the woman who seemed to be his mistress were both sleeping there. The nurse said they usually separate men and women into different rooms, but due to a lack of room, they had to put both of them in the same room for now. So, the woman next to him must be the one who was in the rental car with him. I found myself staring intently at the woman's face. Oh. Could she be Lucy's kindergarten teacher? Her forehead was covered in bandages, but the distinctive large mole and plump lips were unmistakably those of the teacher, Margaret. I couldn't help but yell out. What is this all about? Mike woke up to my voice, and seeing my glare, he panicked. Well, I had my suspicions. It was strange when you, not a morning person, started setting alarm to take Lucy to kindergarten 2 years ago. But I never imagined it was an affair with her teacher. Well, it was just, she was young and beautiful, a moment of weakness. Mike's unusually meek response was probably because he had already been told by the doctor about the possibility of lasting disabilities. Haltingly, he explained, and he looked like a truly pathetic loser. Any remaining affection I had for him vanished in that moment. I looked him straight in his eyes and said, well, at least this makes things clear. I want a divorce. Mike turned pale and started to beg desperately. Wait, just wait. I'm sorry. I won't ever do anything like this again. So, please. Take care of me. Why? Why? Are you going to abandon me now that I'm like this? They said I might end up in a wheelchair. And? Are you really that heartless? After all the time you spent comfortably living off my earnings. Comfortably? Don't make me laugh. We barely made ends meet with your unstable income from your self-employment, and it was my job that kept us going. Remember when you were making like $500 or $1,000 a month? He bit his lip in frustration. I turned my gaze to the mistress's bed. Despite all this commotion, she slept soundly, apparently still under the effect of the strong anesthesia she got at the hospital after crying out in pain. Well, you two can lick your wounds together. Luckily, it seems she doesn't have any problems with her limbs. With that, I left the hospital room. Now, what to do next? I should report this to the parents-in-law, sort out alimony, asset division, and child support. What about Margaret? I guess I should contact her parents first. Thinking all this, I went to my parents' house to tell them everything. Of course, they were furious and said that Lucy could stay with them for now and that I should also come back to live with them immediately. Our house is about a 30-minute drive from my parents', and considering everything, it's probably best to transfer Lucy to a different kindergarten. The next day, I went to the kindergarten to report her leaving and complete the paperwork. There was a bit of a stir when they couldn't get in touch with the teacher, Margaret. Ignoring that, I completed the formalities and was about to leave when a mother of one of Lucy's friends approached me. It's unusual to see you here, it's always been your husband lately. When I told her about the accident and his hospitalization, she said, "Oh dear, that's terrible. My husband and I will go visit him in the hospital." Right, her husband works in the same field as Mike and they were good friends. An idea popped into my head. Everything went according to my plan after that. I urged her to go as soon as possible, and thanks to that, she and her husband visited him on Saturday of that week. Mike and Margaret were still in the same hospital room at that time. Of course, I had told the mom friend in advance that the person he was with is also hospitalized in the same room. I didn't say who it was, though. What's going on? Why is Margaret there? She called me right after leaving the hospital room. That's when I told her about Mike's affair with her for the past 2 years, and how they sneaked out for a drive that night. I've decided to divorce him. I'm moving back to my parents' house and transferring Lucy to a different kindergarten. It's really sad to leave a wonderful mom like you. I buttered her up a bit, knowing her love for gossip. By Monday, she would probably spread the news. The next day, Sunday, I went back to the hospital. It was to discuss the divorce with Mike. However, he was desperately begging me for forgiveness. Please. I'll never do anything like this again. I swear. You're the only one who can save me. I'll become a good husband and father from now on, he pleaded, almost prostrating himself. Then, Margaret, who had woken up in the next bed, shouted out. Wait a minute. This is no joke. If our affair gets out, I won't be able to stay at the kindergarten anymore. And with these scars on my face. You'll have to marry me. To her outburst, Mike was unbelievably cold. You're not a sight for sore eyes anymore. Sorry, but I can't live with a woman like that. What did you say? It's your fault for driving poorly. It's because you kept touching me such part. You're the one who told me to touch there. So, that's what caused the accident. I couldn't help but smirk at this revelation. Once their argument settled down, I spoke kindly to Mike. I understand how you feel. But given what's happened, I want to settle things between us first. Let's get divorced. Then we can look for ways to start over. His face brightened a bit at this. So, you'll still take care of me? Yes. But as a consequence of your affair, I want to get divorced first and then sort out the alimony, asset division, and child support. That way, I can also clear my mind. He seemed to agree with my explanation. Happily, he agreed with the divorce along with a pledge to pay a total of $150,000 in alimony, asset division, and child support in one lump sum. After leaving the hospital, I went straight to the lawyers and proceeded with the divorce. A week later, Mike contacted me. "Hey, you haven't visited me since then. You said you would take care of me." "Oh, right. We need to talk about that." I was a bit suggestive in my response. "Talk? About what?" "About how much you're going to pay me." "What?" He sounded utterly baffled, so I explained politely. "Like a hospital sitter service or care assistance. It's about $30 per hour, so for 2 hours a day, 10 days a month, that's $600. Plus, travel expenses of $15 for each round trip, making it $750 in total. I'll need that up front, please." "Wait, what are you saying? You're charging me?" "Of course, we're strangers now. I have to be compensated." At this point, Mike cursed me. You're the worst." I get it, I understand his feelings. His job requires on-site inspections, but with his condition, that's impossible for now. Moreover, Margaret is demanding $300,000 in damages because of her facial scars. And there's probably a bill for the totaled rental car. Well, it looks like our negotiation is off. You better ask your parents for help. With that, I hung up. Later, I heard Mike was discharged and went back to his parents' house. But apparently, his elderly parents couldn't provide adequate care, and he often fell out of his wheelchair and is now almost bedridden. Also, Margaret reportedly left the kindergarten and is now a shut-in at her parents' house, bombarding Mike's family with angry calls and emails daily. It seems the only lasting scar is on her forehead, but for her, who prided herself on her beauty, it's unforgivable. It's a pity, but she also had to pay alimony for the affair, and her parents covered the shortfall. For them, it might have been just a fling. But what you do comes back to you. I feel sorry for them, but it's divine justice. They should live with their guilt. I feel bad for burdening Lucy so suddenly. But fortunately, she's adapted well to her new kindergarten, which relieves me. As for me, I've settled down and am enjoying my work every day.